and matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com.
Halfway from the 127,000 high down to 125,000 high, down to 62. Takes out 62 on the downside, and 59, it's probably going to 35. This is just what the technical traders do. Just telling. Don't shoot the messenger. I still like Bitcoin. I love gold, and I still like Bitcoin. All right, folks, only in America, hospital funding. Hospital funding becomes a political UFC fight, as if we don't fight over everything enough already. Why not throw in a fight over whether or not people get health care? We've already seen how the left made a pandemic all about politics and control. So then it shouldn't surprise us at all that Medicaid, which is supposed to be a predictable and non-political issue, naturally, Washington turns it into a hostage situation again. Now imagine a world where your hospital survival depends on a bureaucrat's mood in Washington, D.C. But wait, you don't have to imagine it. It's actually happening right now. And I think it's time for Dr. Oz to step in, don't you? In a nutshell, here's the story. Florida's hospitals are on the line right now. Bureaucrats are stalling, and politics is everywhere, even where it should not be. You know, if you ever want to understand why Americans are so cynical, fed up with government, look no further than the circus we call healthcare policy. In theory, of course, healthcare should be the least political issue in America. People get sick. People need hospitals. Hospitals need funding. End of story. I'm a math guy. I'm all about those kinds of simple equations, right? But it makes even more sense in a life and death circumstance like we're in right now. This is America, and anything can become a knife fight. If you told Washington that they had to decide whether water was wet, one party would filibuster the other and would say, run attack ads and saying, my opponent denies humidity. So, of course, Medicaid has become a political football, a battlefield. Not a budgeting issue, not even a policy issue, a battlefield. Enter Florida, where we are right now. Florida runs one of the leanest, meanest, cleanest Medicare programs in the country. 46th in per person spending, 46 out of 50. One of the best per person spendings. They actually check for fraud. Oh, yeah, and take note, Elmer, fraud. Florida, they check for fraud. Florida didn't expand Medicaid to populations the program wasn't originally designed for. Take note, illegal-loving invader Democrats. On paper, it's the kind of program Washington says it wants. Responsible, restrained, focused on the people who deserve it and need it the most. But call it the swamp for a reason. As we do, the reason, it's dirty, it's political, and it gets nasty. So the group called CMS, the federal agency that oversees Medicaid, of course decided to, drumroll please, target the cheaters, the fraudsters, target Florida. Because why reward efficiency when you can punish it? So, as if some Minneapolis-based Somalians were running it, Florida's Medicaid hospital program, payment program, something that's supposed to be routine, straightforward, somehow gets stuck in federal limbo, months late. Please make it make sense. Under review, pending, they say. Maybe if we call it a learning center, would that speed things up? And we're not talking just some paperwork issues. We're talking critical funding money that keeps rural hospitals open, maternity wards staffed, emergency rooms functional. And if CMS keeps dragging its feet, Florida could be forced into a choice no state should make. Close hospitals or raise taxes, property taxes in this instance. That's not policy, folks. That's extortion under the guise of progress. And this is where you'll start to rip your hair out. Blue states, California, New York, and of course, Minnesota, all of them with higher spending and colorful histories of Medicaid waste and fraud and abuse. Those places just seem to sail through CMS approvals for some reason. But red states like Florida and Texas saw more audits, more enforcement, more paperwork, more delays. You get it? Coincidence? Clerical backlog? We've been through this way too much. We know the answer here. Because maybe, just maybe, the same federal agency that spent the last administration being accused of weaponizing oversight was, in fact, weaponizing oversight. And yes, politics has entered the chat. Healthcare being treated like a pressure point to squeeze when convenient. So a bureaucrat is sitting somewhere up in D.C. in the swamp thinking, well, this state voted the wrong way, so let's just go ahead and slow walk their funding. Doesn't matter if those rural hospitals have to shut down. Remember the catastrophic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio? I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden was just too damn busy eating his chocolate ice cream to visit. All because East Palestine, why? Well, it was in Ohio, and East Palestine was too red for the Biden administration. That is until President Trump, who wasn't even president at the time, visited on the one-year anniversary. Don't ever tell me that these decisions aren't made because of political bias. And poor families, seniors, and children, they get caught in the crossfire. Now, it falls to people like Dr. Oz, who's Trump's administrator of the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, to try and untangle this swampy mess. A little common sense here. Instead of treating hospital budgets like campaign talking points, somebody's got to be the adult in the room. And no, Joe, adult diapers don't count. So strip away politics, and what are you left with? Well, let's see. Hospitals that stay open, patients who can get care they need, and I know this will be a foreign concept to most swampsters, definitely most Democrats, programs that don't waste money and states that run things responsibly. Not rocket science here, folks, and it shouldn't be controversial. But somewhere along the way, Medicaid stopped being a safety net and became a political tool for punishing enemies and rewarding friends. It's not just dangerous, it's disgusting. It's politics. It's the swamp. Healthcare isn't red or blue. It shouldn't be. It's human, and it's basic. And yet, here we are watching bureaucrats jam the system for political sport while hospitals worry about the lights staying on. So yeah, time to approve Florida's funding. And if you don't like how red it's become, delays are unacceptable. Healthcare isn't a pawn in your political game. People can survive bad elections and crappy candidate, God, have we seen those, but we can't survive a system where the hospital only stays open if you voted the right way. No nation can ever function like that, not even this one. February, National Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Now more than ever, we need to be asking what each of us can do to lower our chances of cancer. And if you or a loved one is battling cancer, we need to make sure that no stone is left unturned in the effort to stay healthy. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know, the Wellness Company, we have their great doctors on this network all the time, like Dr. Kelly Victory or Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Drew, all the time on the network. Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals that you can trust. The Wellness Company is committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma, from ivermectin to methylene blue to their fantastic new product called Shield, and so much more. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make the promise of the MAHA movement a reality for you and your family. This February, let's take control of our health. Go to www.twc.health/voice today and order. That's twc.health/voice. And by the way, use the promo code VOICE. Save 10%. Prepare now. Don't wait. All right, take a look at these numbers. Take a look at these numbers, my friends. The Edge. 5 months live this week, just 5 months, and we're drawing what YouTube calls elite level audience numbers. In fact, our last 2 shows have drawn a bigger audience than Newsmax and NewsNation primetime cable shows. Think about that. Why? Well, because we talk about making you better, more successful, healthier. We equip you with the ideas, the knowledge, and the tools to better your circumstances, because guess what? No one's going to do it for you. Some of the world's most successful people, most important voices are guests on The Edge. Favre, Bette David, Cardone, Ortiz, Jillian Michaels, just a few of the folks who've been just slammed down in their lives and somehow found a way to pick themselves back up off the canvas and thrive again. How about you just take a minute or so, do something to make your life better for you, for your family, even just to prove you still have the fire, because the first step back into the fire is the hardest and the most powerful. just take your screen, just your phone, and hit that QR code right there. Hit that thing with your camera. Little yellow thing comes up. Subscribe. We want you part of this. Be part of this movement. You'll hear from some of the most successful people in the world. Eric Bolling and the Edge, either on Google or YouTube. Search it out. Don't just watch. Watch, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Rav all day long. Thank you for tuning in at 4 o'clock on Rav for the Bowling Show. And thank you very much for subscribing to The Edge. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would we trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me.
All right, let's bring in our first guest. He's running for Congress representing Arizona's 5th congressional district because he says we need good patriots in office that will stand up and fight for American values. Happy to have a retired Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb with us. Sheriff, good to have you on. I mean, a lot of eyes on this. I haven't really covered it a lot because it just feels like a lot of a distraction, not to be insensitive to the Guthrie family. However, Sheriff Nancy Guthrie case seems to want to continue on and on. Can't catch a break. We just heard that the glove that they found, that was a big third week, starting in third week, there's evidence that now is going to be irrelevant because it doesn't match any of the DNA they found at this crime scene, alleged crime scene. Sheriff, what's your take on it?
Well, look, they got DNA, which is really good. If you get a profile on it, now they'll compare it with CODIS, but now they're not getting any hits on CODIS. That's not surprising because CODIS is going to contain people who've been adjudicated through the legal process before. Now what you'll do is you'll run it through what a lot of investigators are doing. They run it through like a familial DNA type thing, where they test it against people who have submitted DNA samples through Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and most of these companies are willing to work with law enforcement. Then you compare it against maybe a cousin, maybe an aunt or uncle or somebody who has submitted a DNA profile. If it's close enough, they know they're onto the right, they've got the right track, and then they can just further it and maybe narrow it down and find a suspect.
Sheriff, two questions. One, first one, like they eliminated the family. I guess the local authorities eliminated the family. I'm noticing that the FBI has been kind of pushed to the back burner on this. They eliminated families, but there's nothing wrong with saying you're eliminating families to see if anything turns up as evidence, right? You can clearly trick them into maybe talking.
Look, I don't feel like anybody is ever really truly eliminated until you actually make some arrests and suspects. And even then, you may end up getting accomplices. What I've understood is they passed a polygraph. Typically, these cases, the reason why people were looking so hard at the family is 90+% of these cases are with somebody, are committed by or abduction cases or kidnappings or burglaries of homes and situations like this. Those are oftentimes committed by somebody familiar with the property, the family, or even family themselves, that's normal. I know that people may not have liked it or the family was uncomfortable with it, but that's just the way investigations go. The sheriff is now saying they've cleared them. It doesn't mean that it's a closed book on it. It just means that right now they don't have any indication that they were involved.
Sheriff, I was watching a show about midnight a couple nights ago, and all of a sudden, all the networks broke in. They've got a big police presence somewhere about 2 miles away from the Guthrie home. Cops are showing all the vehicles coming. Apparently were 4 people apprehended, and then later on, I heard one was dead. And then they said, "Oh, it had nothing to do with Guthrie." Do we know if it had nothing to do with Guthrie? How does one end up dead?
Well, I guess where that information came from was a neighbor. What best that I could find out, because Eric, I was just as confused. And what I could find out, it was the neighbor said, "Oh, it sounded like a gunshot," and that maybe one of the 4 people had committed suicide. I couldn't find anything to corroborate that later on. So my best understanding is that 3 people had been detained. They also towed away the car. And when you detain people, a lot of times it's like sending a dog into the bushes to scare up the birds. Just because they let them go does not mean that they necessarily don't have information. They might still be considered persons of interest. We had a case where somebody went missing. We brought the guy in, we interviewed him, and then we sent him on his way, only to find out later through social media and through phone pings and other information, digital evidence, that he was indeed our suspect, and we ended up arresting him and charging him, and now he's sitting in prison for life on a murder charge when that person went missing. Now, let's hope that's not the case with the Guthrie case, but it just goes to show you, just because they get released doesn't necessarily mean they're in the clear yet.
Okay, Sheriff, so to help us work through this, I'm a person who believes that I believe in states' rights. In other words, I don't like a huge federal bureaucracy. However, in this case, you have what appears to be, from the outside, fairly incompetent local sheriff in the area. Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm wrong, but he seems like that from here, sir. And then FBI, Kesh Patel flies out there. FBI wants to get involved, and we hear that the local sheriff says, "No, we got this." They don't want to give the FBI the lead. Couple of questions here. How does that work? Where's the power there? And also, Trump has said if you find Nancy Guthrie dead and there's any foul play, the death penalty will apply. That's a federal. I don't even know if they have the death penalty in this state or not. But where does this? It brings me back to Luigi Mangione, who's now got the death penalty pulled from his state case, but the federal case still has the death penalty applied to it. Tell us, sir.
Well, part one of that question is, I'm not intimately involved with the agency on this case, but this is a sheriff's case. I would have maintained this case as a sheriff's office as well. I think that they've done right by bringing the FBI in and using the FBI. Look, we work very different than the federal government. We don't have the money or the time or all of that in our side. We have to work fast. We have to work, and we do things a little bit different. And in this case, the sheriff, I think, is using the FBI to maybe not the best of their ability. I don't know. They certainly have capabilities and resources and endless money to be able to investigate cases, but they typically do not work as quickly as we do in sheriff's office world or in local law enforcement. So I'm good with them keeping the case. I'm good with them maintaining chain of custody on all evidence that they've picked up thus far. Once you start dividing that and shifting it off onto another agency, it really starts to put the chain of custody on whatever evidence you will eventually use to prosecute somebody in a court of law. You're going to need that evidence, and the least amount of trouble in the chain of custody or the least amount of transfers possible is going to be your best outcome. As far as the death penalty, the federal government, I very rarely see them apply the death penalty. We have it here in Arizona, but a death penalty case has to go to trial. It cannot be pled out. So when you go to trial, you better have all your ducks in a row. And right now, based on what I've seen from this case, the amount of media attention, the amount of, look here, we got this lead, now it's not a lead, that is going to create a lot of doubt when you go into a court and try to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt. The evidence is going to be tough to prove. And so I think in the end, you're going to have a really tough time proving a death penalty case unless there is some really compelling evidence when they finally do find her or find the suspects involved in this.
Some people are saying, again, Luigi Mangione, we don't have the actual suspects in the other case, the Guthrie case, but if we do, and both may or may not apply, both cases may or may not apply, but Mangione's defense is saying, look, I'm going to get tried by the state, I guess it's New Jersey or New York, probably New York, right? And there's no death penalty, but he's like, I don't want double jeopardy. We have a constitutional right against double jeopardy. Is he right in saying, well, then the feds can't bring a death penalty case against him if he's already been tried at the state level?
Well, what they would probably do is find a different type of charge. It is going to be the double jeopardy. You either get charged one way or the other. You can't have the state say, well, you're good to go. But we see this, we see where a state will clear a law enforcement guy in a shooting only to have maybe the feds then try to prosecute him for that. And so I just don't feel like that you're going to get that in this case. I think that this will run through the state. And I think ultimately the state, when they do find somebody, the suspects involved in this case, that this case will be handled at the state level with the federal government's assistance.
Now, one more question, Sheriff, former Sheriff of Pinal County. Mark, the attention this case is getting. I mean, she's an 80-something-year-old woman. How many children go missing? How many younger people go missing? How many people go missing that don't ever get nearly as much of exposure? Do they get the same amount of police efforts, so to speak?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because I've been one of the few that's actually been saying this. Look, I want to see all the attention. Let's find her. But at the same time, there's 200, 300, 400 calls for service at the sheriff's office as we speak every day that those victims want to have the same type of service that this family is getting. And especially when it comes to the tens of thousands of children that go missing every year in this country, I would only hope that our media would cover those. We should probably cover those more. Not to take away from this case, but those would deserve our attention even more than a case like this. Yet we don't see that. There are a lot of families out there right now, victims' families, who are saying, why didn't we get this kind of service, or why didn't we get this kind of attention? And while I'm all for it, let's find her. But at the same time, we also have other victims out there that we have to make sure that their cases are being handled and they're getting the attention they deserve as well.
Yeah, indeed, Sheriff. Indeed, it's insane. I mean, it's crazy. We can't find some sort. You got very quickly, half a minute or so. You've been in this position. You've seen these types of cases. Again, not holding you to it. Folks, don't hold them to it. What's your gut? Based on your experience, what's your gut of what happened?
Well, initially it looked like maybe this was a kidnapping. I know that the sheriff has said otherwise, but when I saw the video, I didn't see a professional operation. I feel like this is more of a crime gone wrong. I don't know. Maybe they intended on abducting her in the beginning. I know people don't want to hear this, and I know the family certainly doesn't want to hear this. I do not have high hopes that they will find her alive, although I pray that she is. If you're asking just an honest assessment, these cases don't go well day after day with as much time as we've seen in between it, with the age of the victim that's missing. These things combined don't give me a lot of hope that they will find her alive, but I pray that they do.
Sheriff Mark Lamb, thank you. Running for Congress, by the way, folks, Arizona's 5th Congressional District. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll be back. 2.5 minutes.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAV Angel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAV Angel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
Well, here we go again. A mass shooting in Pawtucket, Rhode Island at a kid's hockey game. Someone shoots up a senior night game or whatever it is, and guess who the shooter may be? You may ask, right? Well, this is Robert. Take a look at Robert, but he goes by Roberta because of course he does. Robert Durgan, a man who dresses like a woman, is the latest in a string of transgender violence. The left has propped up this madness for years, and now it looks like the left have finally successfully built their army of mentally ill killers.
Can you confirm whether the suffix of male, female is a transgender person? Is that something that you have in terms of information?
So what I can say right now that we have identified the person, the suspect, by a birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. We have also learned that the person does go by the name of Roberta, also uses a last name of Esposito. But again, that will be...
Yeah, 2 dead, including the shooter, I think it was third, if not mistaken, killed himself, and his wife. He also injured 3 more who are in critical condition. Meanwhile, Squadster Pramila Jayapal is out there doing everything she can to protect trans rights.
To trans people everywhere, I also want you to know this. Those people are threatened by your strength, by your joy in being fully who you are. Those who fight against trans people are just jealous of the freedom that they have taken to be fully who they are. And so those people just want to destroy that rather than imagine what it would be like to be fully who they are. Wise words from our young people. So today, the Trans Bill of Rights makes those freedoms we all deserve as clear as the paper they are written on. And we intend to continue this fight until we win this fight.
Sure, I agree. You're free to be whoever the hell you want, dress however the hell you want. Don't disagree with that. Sleep with whoever the hell you want. But when you start killing people, your freedoms end right there. And by the way, I'm a math guy, right? So if transgender represents about 1% of the population, let's do the math on what rate they're killing people, mass murdering, mass shooting people at. Blows away any other group in the world, including whites or minorities. Believe me. Do that. Stick that in your pipe, Jamila Pryat Pal, or whatever the hell your name is, and smoke it. The delusions of grandeur continue to run Jasmine Crockett's campaign for Senate for Texas, with Jazzy Jazz somehow truly believing that her becoming a Texas senator will not only be great for the state of Texas and also would be racist if she doesn't win it. But let's take a listen to this racist rant again.
Because I'm running for the U.S. Senate, but the power that I have to deliver for the people does. This is about delivering. I'm here to tell you that this minority state can make a difference, not just for Texas, but for the entire country. And if the United States finally gets back on track, that means that the world is in a better place. Do you know how many people are looking at us and wondering what is happening in our country? We are a laughingstock right now, y'all.
No, the country's coming back. We're making America great again, Jazzy Jasmine. Good luck with that, Texas. Don't knock yourself out. Just because there were so many moments where AOC embarrassed herself in Munich, we showed you some of them yesterday. Here's another precious communist moment from the proud little Marxist from New York.
So when you run for president, are you going to impose a wealth tax or a billionaire's tax?
I don't think that I don't think that anyone, and that we don't have to wait for any one president to impose a wealth tax. I think that it needs to be done expeditiously.
Yeah, let's do it now, right? Wealth tax. Yeah, why not? Do it now before I run for president. By the way, you would think the nonsense that she spewed in Germany the last couple of days would be disqualifying for her as a presidential candidate. Unfortunately, with Democrats, it actually elevated her status. Speaking of embarrassing Democrats, Hillary Clinton, Hill Shady, fresh off being shamed in Munich for her obsession with President Trump.
With impunity, the way that Putin does, except that's who Trump is modeling himself.
Well, first, I think you really don't like him.
You know, that is absolutely true.
Well, that's absolutely true. I don't like him at all. Gee, I wonder how you didn't win presidency, Hill Shady. By the way, you were up. I'll never forget this. Election night 2016. New York Times has this little meter on who's winning based on election returns. New York Times had Hillary with an 86% chance of winning the election at around, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And is slowly. That was amazing. Well, now Hillary's doing cleanup on aisle 9 over the Epstein files.
Do you regret the links that there have been? You know, we have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him. Did you
ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about.
Just a few plane rides, Is that what you're trying to say? And what's that? What's that? Oh, look at that there. Oh, and by the way, Hill Shady, what about the video of Bill Clinton, your husband, in a hot tub with Ghislaine Maxwell and two very young girls? What about that one? Just a ride in the plane, right, Hill? And finally, a little flashback in honor of Jesse Jackson, who died today at the age of 84. A reminder that before Donald Trump ran for president as a Republican, the views of him were quite different back in the day.
In terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to rest to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person.
I will tell you, a large percentage of the people, and especially in construction, that are building these great jobs are black and minorities, and I'm very proud of it.
If you haven't seen it yet, Trump is truthing. It's just amazing. Trump's got pictures with Jesse Jackson, and Trump talks about how the Reverend Jesse Jackson liked Trump more than he liked Obama. It's awesome. Got to check out that truth post. Oh, all of them. There's a bunch of them. All right, folks. Once more, take a look at these numbers, my good friends. The Edge, just 5 months live. 5 months, and we're drawing what YouTube calls elite-level audience numbers. Our last 2 shows have drawn a bigger audience than Newsmax and News Nation primetime cable news shows. Think about that. That little show over there on YouTube outdrawing Newsmax. Ha! Why? Well, we talk about making you better, more successful, healthier. We equip you with the ideas, knowledge, and the tools to better your circumstances, your life, because guess what? No one else is going to do it for you. Some of the world's most successful and important voices are guests on The Edge. Right there, Favre, Bet David, Cardone, Ortiz, Jillian Michaels, just a few of the folks who've been, slammed down in their life and somehow found a way to get themselves back up off the canvas and thrive again. How about you take just a minute and do something to make your life better for you, for your family, even just to prove you still have the fire, because the first step back into the fire, the most important, but also the hardest and the most powerful. Take that first step right now. Motivate yourself to elevate your life. Subscribe to The Edge. Use your camera, point it right at that QR code. You can go there or go on YouTube. Eric Bolling in The Edge. Search it out, Eric Bolling in The Edge, or on Google, Eric Bolling in The Edge. Go there, get there, watch it, share it, subscribe. Thank you for being a RAV audience member. Thank you for watching Bowling at 4 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for joining me on The Edge. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.
This holiday season, Real America's Voice is proud to partner with our friends at Angel Studios for a special giveaway you won't want to miss. As they launch season 2 of their hit series Homestead, we're giving you the chance to win an exclusive Homestead hat absolutely free. Everyone who becomes an Angel Guild member using our link is automatically entered to the contest. When you join, you're supporting meaningful pro-American storytelling, and you're supporting RAV at the same time. Scan the QR code on your screen right now, or text the word RAV Angel to 75802. After you scan or text, make sure you follow the steps provided. When you complete the steps and join the Angel Guild, you'll be automatically entered to win that exclusive Homestead hat, a perfect holiday gift for yourself or someone you love.
Be one of the first 50 people to sign up and win a hat automatically. Hurry while there's still time.
So scan that QR code or text RAV Angel to 75802. Happy holidays from all of us at RAV.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
Seditious conspiracy.
but behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
All right, folks, a little context here. This morning I woke up and I saw a story about a GOP representative from my great state of Florida here who's getting a lot of heat, and they framed it as from both sides of the aisle for a comment or a post he put on social media. Our next, and turns out he was on the show today. Anyway, this is amazing serendipity going on here. Our next guest, Congressman from Florida, ruffles a few feathers in D.C. His ex-post stated, quote, if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. Just like that. Just that. So, of course, the left picks it up and goes crazy, and there's no context. So, it was in response, by the way, to a Palestinian-American activist, Nordine Kizwani's post, she wrote, quote, finally, New York City is coming to Islam. Dogs definitely